Hello there, it's Nemesis Vids, and I'm here to tell you what I'm thankful for, because as you see, it is the holidays. Isn't that wonderful? Well, I'm thankful for Tom Hiddleston. I'm thankful for, Black Manta. Look how wonderful he is, so great. I'm also thankful for General Zod. And I think that's it. I think that's all I'm thankful for. Really, what's there to be thankful for nowadays, unless you're just craving villainy? Am I right? I'm right. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and check my to-do list. Let's see. Cause random actions of violence. I already did that yesterday. But I could always do a bit more. We'll try to schedule something for Christmas Eve. Let's try that. Okay. Let's see, what else? Pick up Dr. Pepper. Now this is important. Dr. Pepper's a very, very important drink, a part of my diet, so I need to make sure I get it. Okay, and oh. I forgot to check on that Who guy. One moment.
Why, yes, Louise Jameson, I would be honored to take you on a date.
Wake up, beard man. I still need to prove myself to Dooms, Vince.
You don't, please don't stab me. Please don't, oh, hi.
Oh, this is day 6 of Who.
Whatever, dude, whatever. Okay, let's get back to work. Okay.
I'm back in the saddle again. I'm back.
Oh, God, that was a good-ass nap. Okay, since we're still very early in October, why are you all wearing Santa hats? Oh, we're in December. Wow, I'm that late. Okay. Huge sorry on the late thing, and advance apologies for any chances of being late again. I'm not good at this internet thing anymore. I'm horrible. But I do want to finish this. Even by the time we have to celebrate the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, I'm going to goddamn finish it. So, let's move on. What do we have to deal with today? Oh, yeah. At the start of the whole new Doctor's era. Well, I'm going to try and brush through this as fast as I can. So, let's see what that actually will mean. Okay, so once the God, there's a lot of dust on these notes. Okay. Once the Doctor Who production team had made a decision to let William Hartnell step down in the role, producer, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, Innes Lloyd had to find a replacement. But instead of, just making him someone who acted and looked somewhat similar to Hartnell, they wanted something different. They needed a fresh take by somebody who could do new and good things with the character. Eventually, they settled on Patrick Troughton. The team put a lot of work into Troughton's new character, coming up with ways to kind of, make him different from Hartnell. Eventually, they just settled on the idea of him being a cosmic hobo, as they now love to call him, which is good. I mean, it worked. It's what he's remembered for to this day. All they had to do was introduce him. How hard could that be? To do this, they brought in David Winnaker, the man who defined Doctor Who more than just about anyone in the history of the show up to that point. This would help because when they were attempting to, replace a mid-actor mid-season is kind of insane. They need to keep things as steady as possible to convince the audience that this was something that would be okay. I mean, Ben and Polly, the companions, who had been with that Doctor just the story before, were still there, so you kind of had some familiarity. Not a whole lot of familiarity. I mean, really, they had about, 12 weeks under their belt, and there's a couple months, and there's a bit of a stretch between some of those weeks. So you gotta have something. So really not too much of familiarity in terms of people there, besides maybe, the small time you had with them. In terms of villains, and bringing back the Daleks, because this is putting the new Doctor up. Ben and Polly, the companions, who had been around for the past 3 stories, were still around, so familiarity if you were watching it, in order. I wasn't. I really technically wasn't, but at the time it worked. At the time versus an audience right now. So, who'd had to be the villain to, show that this character was definitely the Doctor? Well, of course, they had to bring back the Daleks, which good. I mean, best way to prove that this Doctor is truly the Doctor, have him face the greatest foe. I mean, who else could feed the Daleks? That's what the Doctor does. What really makes it work for me is the way it's very slow build-up. At 6 episodes, it never feels too long or drawn out, which is hard to do, yet Whittaker makes it seem very effortless. But beyond its structure, it's also a phenomenal showing of the Daleks, and a great showcase for what they can accomplish if they put their minds to it. Their plan is elegant in its simplicity, and it executes in such a way that makes them smart and dangerous. Everything about them is played out with all the suspense Whittaker can possibly get out of the premise. The Daleks offering to be our servants is about as wrong as anything I can imagine, and yet it works, because we know the Daleks. We know they're up to no good. Whittaker's playing on the expectations. We know they're up to no good, and the writer is playing with the expectations that one of these times that really shows you what you can do with Whittaker is playing with expectation as one of those times that really shows you what you can do with the Daleks in a way that's just not Terry Nation, making them cackle, we can time travel now! Which is, well, I guess, okay. But it's good to see something really fresh and new. Going back to those eons ago at this point, when I talked about Dalek invasion of Earth, Nation kind of fell in his ways in terms of how he told a Dalek story. So to see a very new take on that was, at the time, very refreshing, and after just coming, while doing, this big review thing I'm doing, looking at that way was nice too. It's also a phenomenal first story for Patrick Troughton and a great showcase of his Doctor. He comes out of the gate kicking and screaming and yelling and telling you to grab out for dear life. Grab out. He comes out of the kicking and screaming and yelling and telling you to grab on for dear life. And by the end, he's taken the characters and the audience on a real journey. He shows you how different the Doctor is while still being the Doctor. And it's not in a very out there, like, this is how different I am kind of way. It's more background than anything else. What started off as extreme lack of comfort and hand-holding ends up being slightly less discomfort and almost no hand-holding, to, put it simply. Here at the end, there's a bit of a wink, which comes because by the time we get to the end, we basically see the Doctor defeat the Daleks, which is something the Doctor, tends to do. So while they're sure it's him, I love that, they're still left in a place where they have not 100% sure what he is now. The audience and the companions are very much confident that this is the Doctor, but are very confused by the change and what's happening. So it definitely gave something for the audience at the time to really question, like, oh, when will this guy, gel as the Doctor? Was this just a fluke, or will he falter? And seeing as Troughton is considered a kind of a template for, definitely, if anything, Matt Smith. Matt Smith grew attached very much to Troughton's Doctor when he tried to build his performance. It's definitely worth saying that his performance did stick so well that the concept of doing this again with another actor again and again and again stuck. I mean, if this had failed and, people didn't grow to Troughton, there wouldn't be a show 50 years later, probably. There wouldn't have been a show that went 26 years, I can tell you that much. So he definitely was important. So Troughton's performance was definitely a linchpin that kept the franchise going for as long as it probably did. I mean, though I didn't talk about it too much, we'll talk about the Hartnell days, Doctor Who wasn't really a show the higher-ups had faith in when they started. They kind of looked at it and saw that it could probably fall apart, midway through, but it stayed on, became a huge success, and showed it had very huge staying power when you introduced the concept of just replacing the actor and making it a part of the story instead of, and from now on the role of Doctor Who will be played by, like, they actually make it something interesting instead of, oh, Daniel Craig's the new James Bond now, just go with it, it's how it works. So what do we get out of it? Well, we get an amazing story that stands out on its own, not just as a great introduction, but honestly, just one of the best pieces of Doctor Who I've gone through. And I've gone through so much at this point that to me personally, that means something. That's just not me going, I've seen 10 episodes, this one's my favorite. I've seen a good amount of stuff now, so I could definitely throw it in there. There's more weight to that, at least in my mind. It's a suspenseful thrill full of intrigue that pulls you deeper and deeper all the way to the very end. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the best uses of the Daleks ever, and it's a huge shame that only really a few clips survive out of the original recordings of it. With rumors of missing episodes being found now, and in the last 2 years, a lot more missing episodes being found than we ever suspected would ever happen ever again. Here's small hope that we may eventually see more of this in its original video form, but the audio version was good enough to keep me excited. It's just goddamn important, should be respected, and has enough legs as a story on its own to stand by it. Highly recommend. Okay. Now, this is a nice nap. Alrighty, so we're still early on in October, so let's talk. Why is everybody wearing Santa hats? Oh shit, it's December. Wow, I'm bad at this. Apologies for the massive delay, and future apologies for any other delay, because if there's one thing I'll openly admit to you people, I'm horrible at this. But I soldier on, and hopefully I'll be able to get this show finished before the 60th anniversary. Let's move on!
This evil-looking color, it's like, look at me, I'm Malekith, I'm Doctor Who.